What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's time. It's time for Shut Up When Grown Folks Are Talking. It's your host, DJ Dougie Fresh Kicks, a.k.a. Bread Money. How is everybody doing today? We got a brand new show for you. So stick around. We're going to be laying it down. We got some news that'll give you the blues. Don't turn away or take a snooze. We got it all covered from LeBron. Where LeBron is going. Where do you think he's going to land? We got the Cleveland Cavaliers interested. We got Golden State. I think probably it might be Golden State, but we got a whole show for you. And it's about almost noon in my neck of the woods. It is sweltering hot. I'm telling you, I got fans to the left of me, fans to the right, and you got the Joker in the middle. So what do you think? What's going on? Man, it has been a long week. It's Wednesday. I just got out of the gym. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling activated. I'm feeling in grown folks mode. How about y'all? Y'all ready for the grown folks show? Yeah. We're going to put you in the show. Well, we got some new upgrades to talk about. We're going to have some call-ins where you'll be able to actually call into the show. I'll put the number up on the screen. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. And I just want to explain something to somebody. Some people out there are kind of judgy, and they think like, well, look at this grown folks show. I just want to set the record straight. I've only been doing this for 3 months. I'm at 99 subscribers. Who wants to be number 100? So if you're hearing this, if you're watching this, go on ahead and subscribe and be number 100. There's got to be something in it for you. What could it be? I don't know. I haven't made up my mind, but I tell you what, there's one thing I don't got, and that's a lot of money. So if you got some money, I could really use a few bucks. So I do have a PayPal. If you want to cash at me, if you like the show and you want to support the show, go on ahead and do it. But that's okay if you don't. If you're like me and you're broke, go on ahead and just hit that like button for me or subscribe. That is okay. But I'm saying if you're a gazillionaire and you got $1, go ahead and float your boy Dougie Fresh $1 because he might need a new pair of kicks. I might need some new teeth. You know, you never know. But, man, I'm feeling blessed today. The Lord is motivating me in ways I can't explain. I mean, I just love the feeling like when I get out of the gym and I've crushed it and I feel on top of the world. And then I come home and I do this show. And right now, I just want to say it is, what is the date? I got a can, actually. It is 7:15. 7:15. You know what that means? Only a couple more months and I'll have a year sober. So that's what I want to talk about first. I want to talk about what got me here. Well, about a year ago to the day, I remember I was in Grand Rapids. I rented a hotel. I had some money. My significant other had saved up a couple $1,000, and we went and blew it down to Grand Rapids, staying at this luxurious hotel that just fixes your food, pampers you. You got your own private pool, your own private little cabana, all this stuff. And we stayed there for about a week, and got hammered. I mean, I don't even remember much of it because I was so wasted. I just remember eating a lot of expensive food and being sick for about a month afterwards because, I had to sober up eventually. But that was one of my worst spills as far as drinking. That lasted for about maybe a month and a half. And I went into the hospital and, they do the regular thing, take me upstairs. And, if you ever been admitted into a hospital, it absolutely sucks. The beds are uncomfortable. You don't sleep at night because they're always poking you and waking you up to do something. And other than being intubated, the time I was intubated for like 13 days for alcohol and drugs because I drank a beer so quick that it went right into my lungs, skipped my esophagus, and I aspirated. Oh man, that was a wreck. But even then, I didn't quit drinking, even on death's door. And then right after that vacation in Grand Rapids that we went on and spent a couple $1,000s in a week and had nothing to show for it, we were down and out. She had lost her job because we stayed too long and she just quit her job out of nowhere. All we had was my disability money to get us by. And we can get by on that, but it's damn hard because I can remember before when we were trying to get by on just my disability check, it was like she'd have to do those roll your own cigarettes. I'm not a smoker, but she is. Well, she don't smoke it. Well, she smokes the vape pens. And I think that's more of a cost, because the pipe tobacco was cheap. I mean, you have to know what I'm talking about. So if you're sitting here and you're like, yeah, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, man. He's talking about some pipe tobacco. Well, you can buy a pound of pipe tobacco for about $20, and then you can get 100 filters or 200 filters for about $10. So $30 to get you like a carton of cigarettes, basically. So that's what she used to do a long time ago. But she's kind of spoiled, and when she loses her job, and then that's how we support. So it went like that for quite a while after our shindig down there, and I ended up in the hospital for the last time, and it was the same nurses, the same doctor. I had been a frequent flyer throughout my whole 40s. I'm not joking. I spent my whole 40s in a bottle. Like, if I wasn't getting messed up, I was doing crack, I was snorting coke, I was taking pills, doing whatever I could do to get myself so I didn't want to feel basically what I was feeling. And what I was feeling was emotion, and the emotions were so messed up. I mean, it was my childhood. It was just everything. It was the decisions that I made in life, and it all started come crashing down on me. And the only thing that would help was just getting wasted, because then I didn't think about it. But what happens is all you're doing is you just put it on the back burner. And it sits on the back burner and it simmers, and eventually, just like any type of food, it'll start to burn, and it'll start to get real hard for you. And then the next thing you know, you got to do something with it. You can't just leave it there. And I just tried to stuff it and trying to run away from it. Like I said, the monkey on my back, he was enormous. He had a giant straw, and he stuck it in my ear, and he was sucking out my common sense. Every day I would think like, well, let me see. Am I going to do the right thing today, or am I going to do the wrong thing today? Well, ladies and gentlemen, here I go. I'm on the way to the store. And when I go to the store, I'm talking about I'm getting supplies. Like, let's see. Let's count. Okay, 5 days supply. I need 2/5 of this, a fifth of that. Get a half gallon of that, get 2 cases of that. You know what I'm saying? I got a trunk full of liquor and booze, and I'm like, you ready to rock and roll? Let's go. And the first couple hours, it's like you're having fun. But once I hit that switch and I'm in, they call it like super drunk mode, it's over. The first day, it's fine. But then by the time I wake up the next day, I'm sick, and I just instantly pick right back up. So that's what I knew. I knew I'd have to have something for later. So let's say I drank about a fifth myself and 6 or 8 beers. So I still had 2 or 3/5, because I'm the kind of guy that likes to have a little Martell or some cognac or something like that to sip on while I'm drinking a beer. But once I get wasted, it was just TV's off. And then if I would have had a camera in here, you would just see me walking to and from the bedroom every hour or so. Come out here, pour a big old glass of vodka, because usually I just switch to vodka because it was the easiest to keep down. And I would do like maybe 8 ounces of vodka, and I'd just slam it hard and then chase it, and then kind of wobble back to the room, fall down, go back to sleep. So out of all those times that I did that, I was like, why didn't I just die? All these people that are around me have died doing the same thing. Why ain't I dead? I felt like I was damn dead. And I don't know what the whole switch was that really ended the whole thing for me, and I decided to get sober. But it was like I woke up and I just had a deep prayer with God. It's like I just surrendered my whole soul, my whole body, my whole mind, everything to God, and I just gave it up. I just said, look, do with me if you want. If I'm supposed to die here, let me die. But if I'm supposed to get sober, let me get sober, and let me fight this. Help me fight this, help me resist it. And I woke up and I just told her, I said, I'm done. I'm done. And I'm just not doing it anymore. The last time I drank was right around September 14th. That's my sober date. And my significant other, she has kept going, not as bad, but because she's got to be employed if she wants to have the things that she wants to have, because like I said, on my disability check, we just can't afford it. So it's just so hard for us to make it if she's not working. So she gets a job, and, she lose it, by drinking or whatever. And, by the grace of God, I've been blessed enough to keep the house running. I call it a ship. I call it like this little ship that we're in because it's only like a 65 by 10 trailer that I bought in 2014 with my disability settlement money. So, then I put a bunch of money into it. Put new windows in and fixed it all up. It's really nice in here. It's hot as hell in here because I don't have central air. And if you know anything about trailers, they're made out of tin. So anytime, and it's a tin roof also. So when the heat gets hot, it holds the heat in here like an oven. So we're basically in here cooking, but I got fans. I have a big 175 watt light for recording, but I shut it off. And this doesn't look too bad, does it? Nah, I don't think it looks bad at all. So this is what we're using. And I'm trying to stay cool so I can do my podcast. So we got a lot of things to talk about, but I just wanted to start off with my story. I explain a lot of what went down, like drunk stories and prison stories, things like that, in my videos. If you go on ahead and check out my videos, you can watch. I'm going to make new ones, obviously, because when I first started doing this, I don't know if it was just a calling from God and he wanted me to help people. My first thought was, you know what you should do? You should just go to churches and use the videos that she took of me in the hospital. I was all bloated and half dead, sitting there on life support, and use that and tell your story in these churches and around these kids so you can help save somebody, or even an adult. It might save them. So I wanted to spread the word, but somewhere that dream kind of got lost and it led me here. So as soon as we got some money, it was right earlier this year, I said, I'm going to take, some of the tax money, I'm going to invest it in buying some equipment, a camera and some sound stuff, new laptop, all the stuff to start doing a show called Shut Up When Grown Folks Are Talking. And the reason why I call it Shut Up When Grown Folks Are Talking is because in the beginning, I thought that it was going to be a snap of my fingers easy and I'd have all my old homeboys, I'd have the crew back together. And we'd all be talking about hip hop and, the latest news and what we all thought of it. But each time I pitched it to the main DJ Strange, he kind of was like, I'm really not interested because it's not paying any dollars, so nobody wants to do anything for free. Of course, I don't know. I understand that, but you have to work at something to make it something. And that's what I've been doing just by myself because I never thought in a million years that I'd just be doing it by myself. I had players in the game that been rap artists for 20 years, been DJs for 30 years, all these accolades that they had, and just me, I'm just a guy from the hood who grew up and did the best he could. He ate the beans and rice with y'all. I remember eating bread and sugar sandwiches, or mayonnaise sandwiches, eating cereal with water. You know what I mean? So when anyone talks about having white privilege or anything like that stuff to me, I don't have a clue what you're talking about because the only people who's privileged in this world is the rich. It's rich and poor, not black and white. Don't get it twisted now. This is the truth that I sit here and I tell you this because I know from experience, and experience beats all, right? So you can come up with any hypothesis that you want and be 20 years old and I'll look at you and I won't have any respect for you because you haven't lived the life. See me, I've lived the life. I'm not bragging here, but I've did my time in the penitentiary. I did my time locked up. I've had kids. So I've experienced life for a long time, and I know what has worked and what don't. So when somebody tries to say, well, you're this or you're that, but what brought me to this conclusion of how people kind of think like, well, is that all you got? I'm out. But there was a certain person who came on my feed, watched a video, and it was me talking about Taylor Swift's dog. They got a little fluffy, I think it's a miniature Alaskan, what do we think it was? Some type of Alaskan dog, wolf dog or something like that. We think it was a miniature one because I was sitting here and I have these arguments with Chat GPT about what kind of dog it was. Chat GPT did his little thing, what he does, and he thought basically that it was I don't know. Let me ask chat and see what it says. What kind of dog the Taylor Swift dog was. Okay. Yeah, it was like Alaskan something. White, a thick, fluffy white coat. What do they know? No, let's not go through it all again. I did not want to do that as a Samoyed, although a couple hasn't discussed it in detail. So based on recent reports and photos, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce's, it appears to be a white Samoyed. Multiple outlets have identified the fluffy white dog as a Samoyed, although the couple hasn't publicly discussed it in detail. You know, it's got the thick, white, fluffy coat, the infamous Sammy smile, friendly social personality, high energy. They need regular exercise, bred for cold climates, so they shed heavily. So yeah, that could be it. I guess yeah, that kind of looks like the dog. So basically, when we covered it, it was earlier, and I thought maybe it was something else, like something Alaskan or something, but I can't remember what we thought. Okay, yeah, it's okay, yeah. We thought it was a miniature American Eskimo dog when the first blurry photos came out because of the thick white coat. However, newer, clearer photos and multiple entertainment outlets are now identifying as a Samoyed, not an Alaskan Malamute. So yeah, that's different. The case has been solved of the Taylor Swift dog. Here you go. We're solving it right now. I guess some other outlets have did it, so I'm going to drop it too. The dog is not Alaskan Malamute, it's a Samoyed. So yeah, they got the new dogs. I'm sure she's got other animals. I wonder how celebrities do what they do with their dogs. You know, like say if they got more, I'm sure she has more than one animal because she's been seen with more than one animal. So I just wonder how that works when they have 10 or 12 different houses. Like who takes care of the dog and how often do they visit it? Isn't that something, you know, to have just all these different places and different animals and stuff like that? You know, like I can remember like the biggest celebrity thing that I've ever seen in my life was like Michael Jackson having Neverland and hearing stories about him having monkeys and giraffes and all these animals on his property and all the weird things that, you know, used to go on with him. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like to talk ill of Michael Jackson at all. I think he was the king of pop or the best person to ever do it. But you can definitely write in the comments who you think is the best. I think it's a toss-up between Prince and Mike. I think Prince obviously had better, he was more of a musician and an artist, but Mike had a style that, you know, when he would sing and he would do things on stage and women would literally pass the hell out, I knew he had reached what I call God mode. You know, Mike was in God mode. I don't think Prince ever got to God mode, but don't get me wrong, both of them are missed heavily in my household because I do love me some Purple Rain and Mike's always on deck on my playlist. But RIP to them both. I miss them still to this day. How about y'all? You guys miss the King of Pop and Prince? What do you think about, you know, if they were still around, how the music would be today? Do you think it would be so received or do you think it would have faded out? Do you think it's the reason why today's music isn't so interesting is because we've lost the pillars of music, all of the pillars who've created this wonderful genre and all these fascinating songs and everything else that we grew up listening to are kind of, the new style is more generic and people like hip to it and start singing it a little bit, but it doesn't stay like it used to. Like a song to me, everybody knows it. Like Billie Jean, it's not mine. You know, everybody knows that damn song, especially if the beat comes on, you know, so it's so iconic, you know, and I think that's a problem with music today is we don't have that iconic songs anymore. We just have mediocre, you know, nice songs that people get hip to and like for a month or so, but then they just fall off and then we jump on another. But nothing has hit me as being a great song that's going to live like Billie Jean or Purple Rain or any, you know, these other songs that these great artists have created in the past. Or do you think it's just a matter of time? You know, do you think that time is the issue here, that basically it's a time situation, that if you give a song time to age, it'll become great? Name one song that you can think of and help me here, because this is kind of test to y'all to see if you guys who are listening to this can help me with my situation. My situation is I'm looking for a song that is going to be great but hasn't reached that status yet from 2010 on up. Name one song that I should know the lyrics to and everybody should know because it's that famous. You know, I mean, if we're looking at, you know, when was like Poker Face, that song, you know, that's all I know about that song. So, I mean, tell me an artist and a song that should be like right next to one of the greats. Let's do that. Everybody participate. I want to hear you guys. I want to see I want them comments flooded with artists and songs of your favorite artist and song that you think that should be right next to Michael Jackson with Billie Jean and all his great hits. So that should be something. I can't wait to read the comments to see what you guys think. And it could be worldwide. If you're from a different country, let me know a song and I'll even give it a look and give it a like. So yeah, so what are you guys doing to beat the heat? I mean, it is sweltering. I think today is going to be hotter than yesterday, and it got to over 100 degrees where I'm at. That is hot. So I just want to say that shut up when grown folks is talking. You know, I'm the host, and if this is your first time stopping by, I want to personally welcome you. Around here, we don't pretend to have an answer, and we don't scream over each other. We just want you guys to join and have a great conversation. If that's something you've been looking forward to having, do me a favor, and before we get started, hit that subscribe button, because we got honest, thoughtful conversations over here. We're going to talk about a lot of issues from 0 to 10, from A to Z, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about it all on Shut Up When Grown Folks Are Talking. You know, because it feels like the world is moving faster than human beings were ever designed to move. Every time you pick up your phone, it's another breaking story, another celebrity scandal, another political fight, another tragedy, another rumor, another person trying to convince you that if you don't agree with them, you're somehow the enemy. See, here, we don't do stuff like that. You're not the enemy if you got different views than me. I want you to be able to share your views on a platform and not be vilified for it. And I don't care whatever it is. I don't care. I just want you to be able to have freedom and express yourself wherever you want. And that's what this channel's about. It's about being able to express and say what the heck you want to say and get it off your mind. And I also always tell everybody, if you're struggling with something, like me, I suffer from PTSD. If you're struggling with PTSD and you need somebody to talk to, I'm always willing to be somebody's friend and talk with them. If you need somebody to just talk you off a ledge, I'm there. I'm that guy. You know, any time of the day, any time of the night, if I see your comment, I'll answer everybody's comment. That's a promise. I always do. I don't care if there's 200,000 comments, I'm going to answer. So go ahead and test me. You know, if it might just be a, hey, you know, whatever, but if I see it's something serious, it's going to get my full attention. And that's what type of person I am. That's who you're dealing with. So when you come by and you say stuff like, oh, well, that's all you got, I just want to tell you, well, this is all I have. All I have is a camera, a computer, and a soundboard. That's it. It's basically like a Rodecaster 2. It helps create sound, you know, and I have a crappy $100 microphone. I don't know what people are looking for. They're looking for more video, but I like to use more pictures and keep it more simple so I can create feeling for someone to look at it and be like, okay, well, this made me feel this way. This is what I'm going to comment. And then we have a discussion about it, and then it creates a bigger discussion, and that's how things get solved. You know, issues, maybe I might disagree with something, and you might show me a different path to make me a better person. So at the end of the day, that's why I do it. So at the end of the day, we can look at it and become better people, because that's my goal, is to make this world better. We want to live in a brighter world of people smiling and cheering each other on instead of beating each other down, browbeating, and trying to tear each other apart in a way. That ain't what we do around here. Grown Folks is a brand that's all about the love. So everybody has a microphone. Very few people are actually listening. This is why the show exists. This isn't about telling you what to believe. It's about getting people to think, because thinking has become a lost art. Some people wake up every morning already angry, even before they get out of bed. You know, tell me, why do you think that is? Why is somebody angry even before they get out of bed? They scroll on social media, they see one headline, decide how they feel before they even know the facts. 5 minutes later, they're arguing with complete strangers they never met. What kind of life is that? You know, you get up, you see something, and then you automatically respond, boom. And then, you know, well, here we take a different approach to things. I've reached a point in my life where peace means more to me than proving somebody wrong. It doesn't mean I won't speak my mind. It means I'm going to try to do it with respect. See, we've forgotten something important. We can disagree with somebody without hating them. We can challenge an idea without attacking the person. We can love your country while still believing there's room to improve it. Those things can all exist at the same time. Life isn't black and white as the internet wants you to believe. I think one of the biggest problems today is that everybody wants to be heard, but very few people want to hear. Everybody wants them to listen to them, but nobody wants to actually take the time and listen to somebody else. We don't interrupt people and we don't judge people. We don't label people and we don't wonder why nobody, because that's the exact reason is nobody trusts anybody anymore. I want you guys to be able to trust me. Right here is an honest person. What you see is what you get with me. So, I'm 51 years old and I've been learning something that took me a long time to understand, that life has a way of humbling every single one of us. Money can't stop it. Fame can't stop it. Politics can't stop it. Eventually, every one of us will experience pain. We will lose somebody. We'll make mistakes. We will fail. We all have nights where we don't know what tomorrow looks like. Those moments don't care what political party you belong to. They don't care how many followers you have. They remind us that underneath everything else, we're human beings first. That's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. Not because I think that I'm better than anybody, not because I have all the answers. I started because I believe that there's still room in this world for authentic conversations. No scripts, no fake outrage, no pretending to be somebody I'm not. Just one grown man trying to make sense of a crazy world. And with that, I'm willing to try to bring my voice to you, and we all can give our opinions and try to make this world better. A lot of times I like to talk about sports and entertainment and about my faith. And that's something that's important to me. The Lord Jesus Christ, he motivates me. He keeps me going. I'm not going to say that he speaks to me because then I'd sound like, maybe I forgot to take my medicine again. But no, that's not the case. I'm just motivated by his Holy Spirit. His spirit is moving me in ways that I can't even understand. Some days I just weep. Like one of the shortest verses in the Bible is Jesus wept. Do you know why he wept? Let me know in the comments. I love to leave people thinking, like, hey, he just said that. It's like to spark emotions and to have people wondering, like, why would he say that when somebody's either in a bad mood or they thought something that was so negative, and then I spin it around a little bit, like, meh. And then, they look at it a little differently with a better light. And they become better people by it. So that's where the show goes, is to try to make people better. So if you're watching and you're clicking and you're commenting, I want to say thank you very much for participating. That's what I love people to do. I don't care. You want to hate, go ahead and hate, because, that's just a form of emotion too. And some people have to get them emotions out all the way before they can have room for love and respect. So I understand, because I was just like that before. I used to, and I'll tell you a story. It was about a YouTuber that I was following early on when I first started watching YouTube. And his name was Johnny Scoville. Johnny Scoville used to be an alcoholic, I'm assuming, from watching all of his shows and him apologizing for drinking and all these other things. Well, I had said something borderline, kind of crossing the line, and he kind of cussed me out, and he kind of flaked out. And I was like, you know what? This guy's a total douchebag, because I never really said anything to him other than calling him out on what he had said was, not what he preaches. So he got upset with me, and we went back and forth, and kind of, I left it alone. I didn't talk to him or watch his show anymore. But then I thought about it, and I was like, I could just imagine the amount of stress that he's under every day trying to do videos like he's doing, because people don't know, unless you're doing a video, of how much time and effort it takes. And sometimes you can put your whole heart and soul into something and it just does nothing. And it's so debilitating, especially if you have any type of mental issues or anything like that. I would advise you against getting into YouTube, because it will mess with that a lot. Every day I have to tell myself that, hey, people are people, and there's negative people in this world. It ain't always going to be positive. And maybe you did, maybe you're just you need to start to upgrade it a little bit. I got to go grab my water. I'll be right back. Hold that back. All right, I had to get this water. I'm thirsty here. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah, I was getting parched. All right, so where were we? So what do we got here? So some days we'll cover some of the biggest stories from around the world, but every single episode has one goal, and that's leaving you thinking. If we can get people thinking again, I mean really thinking, then maybe we can start having better conversations, because the loudest voice in the room isn't always the wisest one. Sometimes wisdom speaks quietly. Sometimes wisdom asks questions instead of making accusations. Sometimes wisdom says, I don't know enough yet, and that's okay. You don't have to have an opinion on everything. You don't have to join every online fight. You don't have to hate everybody who sees the world differently than you do. What you do have to do is decide what kind of person you're going to be when nobody's watching. Character isn't built when life is easy. Character shows up when life gets hard. So today, wherever you're watching from, I appreciate every single one of you for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me, whether you're watching from Michigan, California, Texas, Florida, or somewhere else around the world. Thank you. Just because this show is small right now doesn't mean that we don't have a giant heart. So just remember that. Let's prove that people with different opinions can still have grown folk conversations. Now that we've got a lot to get into today, let's stop wasting time and let's get to work. It's time for Shut Up When Grown Folks Are Talking. I'm the host, DJ Dougie Fresh Kicks, a.k.a. Brett Bunny, baby. We getting ready. It's Shut Up When Grown Folks Are Talking. Let's get that show popping. How y'all doing today? Man, I'll tell you what. That was a little intro I wanted to do to see how it worked. Hope you guys liked it. I hope it was cool. So, all right, grown folks, let's go. Let's kick this show off with some sports because there's a lot going on. Now, if you've been watching ESPN or scrolling on social media, you've already noticed that it's a lot of football things are going on, like this quarterback thing. Like ESPN put out their top 10 hot quarterbacks, and boy, they left a lot of people out. I'll tell you, it was something that I could not believe. It was like they had, I think, they had Jared Goff, my guy, at number 9. Where do you think Jared Goff? Let me go ahead and bring this up real quick. Bring up these top 10 QBs real quick. What ESPN? This is according to ESPN. Josh Allen is number 1. This guy can't win a playoff game. You know what I'm saying? And so, okay, let's write this down. Let's get a paper here. I'll let you guys go on ahead and get a paper as well. I'll wait. I'll just use the backside of this. Okay, so we got Josh Allen as number 1. Where do you think Josh Allen fits in this? Do you think Josh Allen fits at all in number 1? Or do you think him and Patrick Mahomes should probably swap, or Matthew Stafford? Who do you think's the best out of these top 10 people? Number 10, Jalen Williams. Number 9, Jared Goff. Number 8, Drake May. Number 7, Justin Herbert. Number 6, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott? Come on, man. What are they going by? What actually? I mean, man, I'm not a hater, and I just would love to hear this one or what somebody has to say about Josh Allen being the number 1 quarterback in the NFL right now. Did he do something that I don't know about? Let me know in the comments if you think Josh Allen should be number 1 right now. I'm not saying Josh Allen can't ball. I mean, to me, I knew when I first seen Josh Allen, he was going to be like that Pittsburgh guy from Pittsburgh. Brown swag, I can't remember his name. He retired. His name's hard to remember, but he retired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He kind of built like him, 6'6", big guy, run you over. Roethlisberger. Yeah, Roethlisberger. Yeah, sausage, you know what I'm saying? Anyhow, so at number 1, Josh Allen. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes. And 3, Matthew Stafford. Joe Burrows, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Jared Goff, Caleb Williams. What is your top 10? So go on ahead and write down who you think should be in the top 10 and write who the heck did they leave out, because I think Jared Goff is definitely in the top 10, but do you think maybe he's a little higher than 9, maybe closer to 6? And I think I would trade places with Goff and Herbert, and then I'm taking Caleb Williams. I think I would put Caleb Williams at 10 and put Dak Prescott at 10, and having him as 9 and 10. I don't know. It's just what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to reshuffle this to make it make sense. Josh Allen took over the number one spot from Patrick Mahomes, and Matthew Stafford jumped all the way up to number 3. Drake May cracked the top 10 after a breakout season, and Caleb Williams made his first top 10 appearance. Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud, and Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix did not make the top 10. Isn't that crazy? So what do you think about that? July 13th, 2026, this was reported. And it was reported on ESPN. And this is something that the ESPN executives, coaches, and scouts just ranked the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. And this list isn't going to make a lot of people mad. Josh Allen is the number 1 pick, and Patrick Mahomes drops to number 2. Matthew Stafford is somehow number 3. Dak Prescott is 6th. Caleb Williams already makes the top 10, but where's Jalen Hurts? Where's Brock Purdy? Where's Jordan Love? That's why the rankings are fun. They are guaranteed to start arguments. So I'm asking the grown folk community, what's the biggest mistake on this list? Who's ranked too high and who got completely disrespected? Let me know in the comments. And trust me, don't say nothing bad about Jared Goff. Because Jared Goff, we traded Matthew Stafford for him. I get it. He went and won a Super Bowl, but, they had a few bad years, and now they're back. I just talked about Stafford. He might, have a good comeback. I'm always rooting for him if Detroit's out of it. But ultimately, I want to be able to see Detroit win a Super Bowl. It's my dream. So I'm praying for Detroit this year. Hopefully their squad gets together. And what about Terrion Arnold? Oh, my God. What did that boy do? Oh, we got to talk about Terrion Arnold. I forgot about him. He got himself in a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Terrion Arnold has become one of the biggest NFL stories of the week. But for off-the-field reason, Terrion Arnold, former Detroit Lions first-round cornerback, was released after being arrested in Florida on multiple felony charges, including armed robbery, kidnapping. Arnold has denied the allegations. He was later allowed by a judge to work out with the NFL teams without wearing a GPS monitor while his case proceeds. Despite the serious legal case, several NFL teams have reportedly showed interest in evaluating. What? Was he cut by Detroit? See, I didn't see that. Okay, so he was cut by Detroit then. See, this is something I'm learning because I haven't been watching a lot of news like that. Last I knew about Terrion Arnold, he was hurt, and he couldn't play last year. Yes, they released him on June 29, just hours after the Florida judge granted him a $1 million bond. The team did not publicly state a reason, but the move came while Arnold was facing multiple felony charges stemming from alleged kidnapping, armed robbery case. Arnold has pled not guilty to charges. The surprising part is what happened next. The Houston Texans brought him in for a workout. The New York Jets, Seattle Seahawks, and the Indianapolis. See, people, they don't even care, man. Like, good props to Detroit, but what happened to you're innocent until proven guilty? I mean, they must know some stuff that he was doing that was just shady. Like if he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So maybe he might not have did it, but why was he even there in the first place is the whole situation. Why are you getting arrested like that? And maybe they have a zero tolerance policy. I don't know, but that's something that is great for starting up a conversation. The Detroit Lions didn't wait for legal process to play out. They released the former first-round pick, Terrion Arnold. But there's a twist. Several NFL teams are already showing interest. So here's the grown folks question is, did the Lions make the right football decision, or should they have waited until the case was resolved? And if you're a GM, would you sign him while the legal case is still pending? Let me know in the comments. Heck yeah, I think Terrion Arnold's a baller, man. You gotta wait till that plays itself out, because a lot of people get arrested for, things that they didn't do. And if that's the situation, the Lions could really miss somebody who is a big piece of their defense. So that's just bad news, to hear. And I'm glad that we kind of broke it today. Shut up when grown folks are talking. I'm sure a lot of people already knew this, but no, I didn't know. I knew that he had gotten in trouble, but I wasn't clear on what transpired. I knew that it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad. So that's some messed up stuff. Yeah, buddy. So my prayers go out to Terrion Arnold and his family, and hopefully they find a way to get him vindicated. But I'll tell you what, there's some bigger sports stories of the week, and the biggest one right now are the MMA rankings. I'll tell you what, the MMA rankings right now of July 2026, the UFC has its next Conor McGregor and Paddy Pimblett. Well, I was just talking with a guy at the gym about Paddy Pimblett, and I was telling him, I was basically saying, that Paddy Pimblett is good and all, and I think that he's got a lucky horseshoe up his butt because he got lucky with Benoit St. Denise wanting to do the little whole wrestling thing. I think that was a mistake when he just shot in, knowing that Paddy Pimblett, I mean, you have to have scouts, right, out there like, whoa, this is what he's saying about you. At least I would be. Like, if I was fighting somebody, I'd want to know everything he was doing, all the news information. He said right on a show, he was like, yep, he's going to dive in, he's going to go for something, and then I'm going to put him to sleep. And he did exactly what he said. And he totally, the Justin Gaethje fight, he basically, his stock rolled because he sat there and did a war with Gaethje. And now, he comes in and he puts Benoit St. Denis to sleep in like seconds. That was just crazy. You know what's even more crazy is I'm looking for a reason to try to, kind of crap on his parade for some reason. And I don't know why I'm doing it, but because when I was talking with somebody at the gym, I was telling him, I was like, yeah, well, he's going to be good until he finds somebody who can, for one, defensive wrestler and who's a good boxer. Like, I think Ilia Topuria would be a bad fight for him, but he, the guy's been proving everybody wrong, so he could be, and I thought the same with Conor McGregor, the lucky Irish. His crowning moment was when he knocked out Jose Aldo. Boom. Hit him with that punch, and that fight was over that quick. Now, that fight, if he doesn't hit him and it just glances off and it doesn't hurt him, who's to say that Aldo don't stop McGregor and McGregor don't rise to God mode? You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me. Yeah, is Paddy the real deal, or is hype getting ahead of reality? That's what I want to know. So let me know in the comments what you think about Paddy Pimblett, how he strangled Benoit St. Denis in the UFC 329, has many analysts comparing his rise to Conor McGregor's early UFC run. The conversation is now, where's Paddy? Whether Paddy can become the UFC's next crossover superstar and who should be his next opponent. That's what I'd like to know, is since he came in there pretty much unscathed, he could probably get right back in there. So I'd like to see him fight again this year. Him fight Ilia Topuria. I think that's the fight to make. And I think Justin Gaethje should fight Arman Tsarukyan. Yeah, I could break it down for you all the way if you wanted. Like I said, I've been a fan since the inception, since it was a baby. But like I said, I don't know everything. I'm willing to learn too. I'm willing to take the time to study and check it out. But yeah, so what do we think about the FIFA World Cup? Reaches the final stage. Right now, we got the World Cup is down to its biggest matches. Spain has reached the final, while England and Argentina are battling one of the soccer's most historic rivalries. Security and fan excitement have been major talking points leading into the match. Does any sporting event unite a country more than the World Cup? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about this FIFA World Cup? And who's going to win between England and Argentina? I think it's at 3 o'clock today. So right now it's 12:45. So in a few hours they should be playing. Who do you got in that one? Man, I've never really checked it out. But we also got NFL training camps are about to begin. Football is almost back. Fans are debating quarterback rankings like we just did. Playoff contenders, rookie expectations. And while teams made the biggest offseason improvements, the preseason storylines are heating up. Who's your pick to win the Super Bowl right now? Just put their initials in the comment who you got winning the Super Bowl this year. Is it going to be Kansas City Chiefs? Will the Broncos get some life with a healthy Bo Nix? Do the Patriots go back to the dance? I mean, there's a lot of questions. So who will be your pick? Let me know. Let's shut up when grown folks are talking. Put it in the comments, and we're going to save it there like a bank vault. We're going to dial it down, dial it back. We're going to hold it there. And if you pick the right team, we're going to send you something. We're going to remember, we will not forget who you are. So make sure you're subscribed. because only subscribers who comment can win. All right. So moving on, Major League Baseball looks ahead after the All-Star game. With the All-Star game festivities complete, attention shifts to the second half of the baseball season. The playoff races are beginning to take shape, and teams will soon decide whether to buy or sell before the trade deadline. So the Detroit Tigers are expected to be buyers ahead of the August 3rd MLB trade deadline, not sellers. Their biggest needs appear to be another starting pitcher, bullpen depth, and possibility a right-hand bat for the lineup. Some names are already being connected to Detroit in trade discussions. Sandy Alcantara, the Miami Marlins, Reed Demeter, Los Angeles Angels, Eugene Suarez, Arizona Diamondbacks, bullpen help. The Detroit Tigers aren't done. Who should they get? The trade deadline is just around the corner, and the Tigers have already made one move by sending Jahmai Jones to Boston, but Detroit is serious about making a playoff run. They should go all in. Do they need another starting pitcher, another bullpen arm, or just a big bat to help the offense? If you're in the Tigers general manager and you can make one trade, who are you bringing into Detroit? Let me know in the comments. They were just talking about trading their biggest star there, Tariq Skubal, the Tigers' ace, back-to-back AL Cy Young winner. There's been a ton of speculation that Detroit could trade him before the trade deadline because he's in the final year of his contract. He's expected to command one of the biggest pitching contracts in MLB history, contending teams desperate for an elite starting pitcher. However, latest reports suggest that the Tigers are not actively looking to move him. In fact, Skubal has reportedly told friends he'd like to stay in Detroit, saying he believes the Tigers can compete for a World Series. This is huge. Are the Tigers making a huge mistake with Tariq Skubal? Every contender in baseball would love to have Tariq Skubal. The Yankees, Dodgers, and other playoff teams have all been mentioned in trade speculation. But here's the question. If you're Detroit, do you cash in for a massive haul of prospects, or do you build around one of the best pitchers in baseball? Skubal has reportedly said he wants to stay if the Tigers GM. If you're the Tigers GM, what do you do? Is he untouchable, or is this your last chance to maximize his value? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you got to say about it. Because I seen this up on the headlines when I was at the gym, and I was thinking like, damn, they could get a king's ransom for this guy, and he's in his final year. I don't think he'll stay, so why not get what you can for him? I think this is a no-brainer, but stranger things have happened. So, like I said, this guy, he lives and breathes baseball. I mean, I have a hard time watching a whole baseball game if it ain't the playoffs, because what do they play, like 162 games or something like that? That's a long season. Sometimes double headers. My abs are cooked. I'm sitting here like, man, this is terrible. All right. So right now we're talking about some celebrity news that's just come up. Jennifer Lopez 57th birthday celebration in Paris concluded. Outfit changes and over 400 carats of diamonds. Holy moly, 400 carats of diamonds. Can you believe that? Yeah, I can, because that girl's got some money. Man, I wish I had just a little bit of that money. What I wouldn't do to help the world. But I'm sure she's a good philanthropist who donates and helps people. I wouldn't believe any otherwise. Jennifer Lopez is making headlines after celebrating her birthday early in Paris. Whole something couture week with multiple designer outfits and eye-catching collection of diamonds. The coverage has focused on her fashion confidence and post-divorce chapter. You know what's crazy is Paris, man, you got to watch out. It was like just the other day I read that they got these burglars, that are just movie-like people going in and robbing like these high-end museums and stuff like that, taking like pieces worth like $10 million and stuff. It's like crazy over there right now. It's because I'm going to tell you why it is. It's because of all the garbage that's going on in Europe. Europe just ain't what it used to be. I mean, they are falling apart. See, what's so weird is Europe is about 5 years ahead of us as far as what happens when you let people just come in willy-nilly. And if you look at Europe, I mean, it is bad. You thought New York was bad with people on Canal Street with all their big old purses and all this fake stuff that they're selling to everybody. And what's so bad about it is the American people love going to Canal Street and buying this crap. You know, why go spend $5,000 on a purse when you can get it for $50, and it's basically the same thing. Just might be a stitch or two wrong, but you couldn't tell them apart if you looked at it. You'd have to dig into it, and there's ways to find out if something's fake or not. Because I deal with it a lot because I buy sneakers. I don't like to call myself a sneakerhead, but I'm a shoe guy. I don't really sell a lot, but I have, and but I've been duped a lot, and now I have a pretty good understanding of what's real and what's not because I've studied and I know what to look for. Immediately, if I go to look at a shoe, I don't hardly ever buy anything online unless it comes from a reputable company. But say if it's like Marketplace or something like that, I'll meet and I'll check it out. I can know just by smacking the bottom of it. Pop, pop. It should sound like a watermelon. And if that doesn't sound like that, there's the smell test, and then I have a purple light. You can look at the numbers, stitching, all that. There's all kinds of stuff, but it's the same with purses. Anything that's worth money is going to be faked, and that all comes from China. China is a big distributor of faking things all the way down to Richard Millie's. I wouldn't mind getting me a fake Richard Mill watch. That'd be cool. I mean, right now I have a Bulova Phantom. That's about as fancy as I can get, and that's about a $500 watch, but it's not a bad watch. But what I want to explain to you is, tell me, what is the difference between a Richard Mill or a Bulova Phantom? Because they both tell time, right? So there's really, the only thing is different is my Bulova Phantom is made just as good as the Richard Mill. It's just a Richard Mill, you're buying the name, you see? And that's 1,000x times more. A Richard Mill will cost you anywhere from, a $500,000, where mine was $500. Well, so I'm sure the craftsmanship's a lot different, and the inkature, from using gold to metal and stuff like that. But say if you found a Richard Mill just made with stainless, it's still worth 50 grand, right? Or does he even make one that's just like that? Because I don't know what makes his watches so great, but people buy that stuff. And I think right now, a lot of people are realizing, if you were in the shoe game, after Jordan had put out The Last Dance and COVID was around, shoes were like going crazy. They were up. Everybody was in love with sneakers again. It was so hot. We had stuff to look forward to. I'm telling you what, right now we have nothing in the horizon. I mean, if you're listening to this, Nike, please put something out that we can go for. A Jordan 3 True Blue ain't gonna do it. That thing's going to sit it will. And maybe I might buy it once it's half off. And that's going to be the thing. I'm going to show you that True Blue, and it's going to be about half off. I guarantee it. I guarantee it, because nobody gives a crap about the Jordan True Blue. It's just not a shoe that is going to demand a lot of attention. And I don't know what's going on with Travis Scott, but right now, I mean, I thought that we would be busy a lot with me showing you guys all the shoes that I get, because there for a while I was buying a pair of shoes every month. But I mean, now it's all about, I'm showing my gym shoes that I'm buying, because I buy the Nike Vomero premiums. Like I showed you the other day, like how I went where I started from, a Jordan low, to right now I'm wearing the Nike Vomero premium, and that's the best shoe that you can buy right now for the gym. I'm not saying it looks the greatest or whatever, but it's the most comfortable for the gym, and it will make you faster, because my times in doing a mile on the treadmill was right around, I would say 14, because that's just kind of me walking fast on the trail. I don't really run too much, but I went from 14 to 12 just changing those shoes, just because of the bounce. I mean, they got a thing on the front and a thing on the back, that bouncy, and it just makes them so cool. I'd have to show you. Let me go ahead and grab one so you know what I'm talking about. Robocall. All right, you see this right here? So this right here is what kind of like gives you some kinetic energy, and it's got one in the front. And these things, I tell you what, for the gym, you cannot beat these Vomero premiums. They are something else. Yeah, they are pretty sweet. So I have two pairs of these. I have these, then I have a white, kind of like a grayish pair. But yeah, those right there, those pairs of shoes, They are the top of the line when it comes to gym shoe and outdoor. It's an outdoor running shoe, but there's nothing that can beat it, I don't think, anyway. But yeah, so who do you think's going to take the whole World Cup? Since the World Cup is drawing an incredible celebrity lineup, reports say that performers including Madonna, Shakira, Justin Bieber, Burna Boy, BTS are expected to be part of the halftime entertainment, making the event as much about pop culture as soccer. Has the World Cup become bigger than the Super Bowl when it comes to celebrity culture? I think the biggest thing is that our Super Bowl halftime show sucked. You don't put a Super Bowl halftime show and have a person who nobody knows. Nobody who know who the guy was. What was his name again? Yeah. See, it's that bad. I'm trying to think of it still. It'll come to me. Yeah, he's from Puerto Rico, and he did his whole thing in Puerto Rican. So I don't know. Bad Bunny. Yeah. So what'd you think about the whole Bad Bunny thing? Do you think the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show was worth all the criticism and everything? I know half of the world liked it because, they're a bunch of left-wing lunatics and they need to be sedated and on a bus, maybe the Sweet Pickle bus with a helmet and a drip cup. Singing Kumbaya, yeah, yeah. I don't know. What's worse? But the Super Bowl has had a lot of magic happen in it, so I don't think that the World Cup could ever touch the Super Bowl just because of the Super Bowl is like an American holiday. It's where everybody gets together. I don't see that in a lot of households, a lot of people even paying the World Cup as much attention, but I could be wrong because that's just my opinion, and you know how opinions are. So the Odyssey is packed with stars. And one of the biggest things that I noticed in it is they got my guy. What was her name when she transitioned? She plays somebody in there, The Odyssey. So Christopher Nolan's upcoming film, The Odyssey, continues to generate buzz with stars like Matt Damon, Zendaya, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, and Lupita Nyong'o making the promotional rounds, but they're leaving somebody out. So Elliot Page is in The Odyssey. What do you think about her? And her transitioning now, going from, what was her first name? Ellen, maybe? Yeah, she was a beautiful girl at one point, and then she transitioned into Elliot, and you could see the scars where she had her breasts removed and all this other stuff, but she plays really good, is a really good actor. I mean, I don't have any problem with that whole thing, and I'm not saying anything about her transitioning. I just wanted to give her some credit because she wasn't in, and she plays Sinan, a Greek soldier who plays an important role in the story surrounding the Trojan horse. So I thought that, it was unfair that they not put Elliot, who I loved in the Umbrella Academy, Inception, and Juno, and all these other shows. And everybody's entitled to do whatever they want to their body, and that's what she or he chose to do. To each his own, do what you want. I personally wouldn't do it, but I have two homosexual daughters. Both my daughters are gay, so I deal with it. But what I do is I just accept what they want to do, what they want to be, So I accept Elliot Page, and I would watch a million of her TV shows because I just like the way he personally acts and some of the things that, he can do on the big screen. So one of my favorite actors is Elliot Page. So I thought I'd give Elliot credit on The Odyssey because what they did is they put Matt Damon up there, Zendaya, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Lupita Nyong'o, and making all these promotional rounds, but they left off, one of the biggest stars on that whole thing is Elliot Page. So Elliot Page, I'm giving you, my man, your flowers. And I think you deserve all the credit in the world, and Godspeed to you. So Christopher Nolan's new film, The Odyssey, Elliot Page plays Sinan, a Greek soldier who plays an important role in the story surrounding the Trojan horse. The casting has generated discussion online, and Christopher Nolan has responded by saying he considers criticism of the film before it's released to be irrelevant. If you're covering this on your podcast, it's a good idea to focus on the broader discussion about the film and the casting choices or the audience reaction rather than making personal attacks. That keeps the conversation centered on the movie and the news. So the cast for Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is loaded. You've got Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Zendaya, Anne Hathaway, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, Jon Bernthal, and Elliot Page joining one of the biggest casts in Hollywood's put together in years. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's how you correct a wrong, ladies and gentlemen. You got to put them all in there. Put all those big bangers in there. Now, Jon Bernthal, he is the man. You got to admit, Jon Bernthal, man, that guy's, anything he touches is gold. That guy can play it all. She's great. Anne Hathaway, I guess, she's done some good things throughout the year, these years, but she's done some bad ones. And Zendaya's great. So I think it should be a great movie. I think that one right there might be my movie of the year. I can't wait to see it. When does it come out? When does it come out? The Odyssey comes out July 17th, so that's this weekend. I wonder if it's going to be playing in my neck of the woods. I'm going to have to check, because that's a movie I wouldn't mind going seeing in the theater. And we had just got a new theater in our town. Well, it was an old theater. What happened is during COVID, it shut down and never opened back up. So it just opened back up a couple of months ago. So hopefully they got the Odyssey in there, and I'll be going to see that. And then I'm going to come back and tell y'all all about it, how it was crazy, how it reminded me of all being back in those days where they shot people with bow and arrows and they killed Achilles. Brad Pitt played Achilles. Now that movie was a good one. So if it's anything like that, it should be great. We got something about Beyonce. Beyonce is celebrating her 20th anniversary of her album B-Day with new music, giving longtime fans another reason to celebrate her career. Okay, so Taylor's ring stack has fans talking. Taylor and Travis recently attended former Chiefs wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster's wedding in California. Fans quickly noticed Taylor's wearing a new stack of rings alongside her engagement ring, what appears to be a wedding band, sparking plenty of discussion online. Let's talk about America's most talked about celebrity couple, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Even after the wedding, they can't stay out of the headlines. First, fans finally found out their new mystery dog Fluffy was a white Samoyed after weeks of guessing. Then Taylor and Travis stepped out for Juju Smith-Schuster's wedding, and fans immediately started talking about Taylor's ring stack. My favorite story has to be the Pat McAfee. He thought his wedding invitation was fake and ignored it until Travis personally reached out and said, "No, it's real." Imagine almost missing one of the biggest celebrity weddings of the year because you thought it was spam. So here's my question for all of you. Do you think Taylor and Travis are the biggest celebrity power couple in America right now? Or is there another couple that tops this list? Let me know in the comments and we can talk about it. We can shout about it. To me personally, you know what? Hey, I just started getting into, Taylor Swift and all these guys. I might, after this podcast, I might go listen to some Taylor Swift and just see what this girl's got everybody so dang crazy about. I never really understood it myself, but I knew she was a good musician, but I didn't know there's a Swiftie is a real thing. Like if you start talking anything bad about Taylor Swift, and if you ain't even good enough to report on her, I had a person say, "Bye, I'm not gonna be a part of this show. You done dropped the ball when you're talking about Fluffy." So I made a short, and it was just basically showing some of the pictures that I've seen so far and saying, we were discussing what kind of dog it was. It was like 20 seconds or whatever, some good music behind it, just, having fun. And she's like, "Is that all you got? What the hell's wrong with you? It's the Swiftie army out here. We'll take your dang head off." So I was like, oh my God, people really do lose their mind like that? It's that bad? Like if it gets that bad, you got to change some things up. So here we go. We're reaching The segment is getting close to the end, but I just want to say that one of the biggest national security stories continue to be the confrontation with Iran. President Trump has warned of additional military action if Iran does not return to the negotiation table. While tensions are high in the region, should America keep increasing pressure, or is it time to focus on diplomacy? One of the biggest things is ICE is at it again, and they out there shooting people. I don't know what's going on. I told you before that I don't like ICE running around our streets and in our cities. Like I said, I'm not conservative, and I'm not a Democrat, and I'm not a Republican. I'm just me, but I do have common sense, and this is my sense of it. ICE has to be a foundation like the FBI. You don't need to call them until you have to. But I don't agree with sanctuary cities. So that's the reason why they're out, is because your mayors and your governors are making sanctuary cities, and it goes against all of the policies of America. So if you arrest an illegal immigrant for, say, child rape, murder, whatever, blah, 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 I don't care if it's drunk driving. You have to call ICE, immigration, and have them come picked up and get them deported. Don't give them sanctuary, because that's just wrong. And people shouldn't be jumping the fence to get here. I don't believe in that either. But do I think ICE should be mobilized out and just looking for people at the local Lowe's or Home Depot? No, I don't. They're not trained to do that like a police officer. They're not cops. They're not detectives. They're immigration officers. Their thing is to enforce immigration. So stay on the border and do your job. Don't be in our streets. So number 3 is permanent daylight savings time. Congress has passed legislation aimed at making daylight savings times permanent. Throughout, the additional steps are still required before a nationwide change takes effect. What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to be harmful for our kids getting on the bus early in the morning and it still be dark out? And another thing is the SAVE Act. What do you think about the SAVE Act? Do you think the SAVE Act hurts people from voting, or do you think it's about damn time? I'd like to know in your comments. Me personally, I don't have an issue with it either way, because I don't vote. I'll talk about it, on my show, but I'm not political. I don't vote. I don't tell people who to vote for, whatever. I think that for sure you should vote with common sense if you do vote. But the problem with me is that I've been a convicted felon for so long that I've never voted. I didn't never think I could. And then when people told me I could, I don't really want to get into it, because I don't want that type of responsibility. For one, like, if I don't vote and then whoever goes in there, if they do something, I don't have that on my conscience. So I try to keep my conscience clean if it let y'all vote. So I'm not saying that everyone should be like me. The reason why I do it is because I got a lot of mental issues and stuff like that. I try not to add to it. I got enough going on, so I try not to over-exasperate it. So that's the biggest issue. So yeah, so permanent daylight saving times and voting rights and the midterms. Civil rights organizations are organizing a major march on Washington ahead of the midterm elections, saying they're concerned about voting access after recent court decisions have changed the election laws. Well, I think it's about time you change the election laws. Just because I don't vote don't mean I don't keep track. And I do see that there's definitely a problem with mail-in voting in California. All these mail-in votes just keep flooding in weeks after weeks after. It's election day. So the election should be held on the day. If anything, it should go into the next day. But mail-in voting only should be used in certain cases. And it should be done in person with ID. Do I think that ID to go personally vote? No. I think when you vote away or stuff like that, you should have ID, because it'll stop the fraud. I mean, everybody's going to find a way to cheat. So Trump's executive action. The White House has announced new executive action this week, included changes affecting environmental regulations and updates to federal land management. Right now, we got Trump in Iran. We talked about the road to the 2026 midterm election. Who do you think's gonna get it? Do you think it'll just remain the same? Do you think the Republicans will keep the House and the Senate, and it'll just keep on marching along, and the Democrats, we just lost you? Yeah, I think we'll just stop it here. You guys have a great day, great night. It's Dougie Fresh, and I'm out of here. Peace. We're out.